Hello, this is Norm Haney with the Sports Guys from 1340 WBGN, and this is our first ever post on Buy Local BG, catching you up on what's going on in South Central Kentucky and in the world of sports. First off, we'll start with the Thursday game that kicks off the college football season down in Nashville as Kentucky will take on Western Kentucky at LP Field, home of the Tennessee Titans. Should be a great game. I know these games haven't been competitive between the Tops and the Wildcats here the last couple times, but I think Western Kentucky is finally catching up to Kentucky and the other teams in the College Bowl subdivision. Willie Taggart going into his second season as the head coach at WKU, and I think you'll see a different team this year. Not sure the Toppers can pull it off against Kentucky. Kentucky still has the SEC talent, and I think it's going to be a little bit too much for WKU on Thursday. I do expect the Toppers, however, to be competitive and to give Kentucky a run for its money. Should be a great game. Hopefully it'll be a very good atmosphere, and a lot of people will travel from Lexington and Bowling Green down to Nashville for the game. Doesn't necessarily help that the game kicks off at 7:30. I'm sorry, close to 8:30, which means a lot of people that are trying to get back to Lexington or Bowling Green are going to be pulling back into their driveway close to 12:30 or 1 a.m. in the morning, which will make Friday at work probably a little bit unpleasant. A lot of people may be taking naps underneath their desk because they're tired. But hopefully what happens is WKU can get off to a good start, get their offense moving. They did have some success last year against Kentucky's defense, but then go into the half close. You know, last year they were down quite a bit to Kentucky and were never really able to recover. I think it's important for WKU to be competitive in this game so they can go into their home opener, even though this is considered a home game for WKU. When they come back home to Bowling Green and play at Houchins Industries LT Smith Stadium, they'll have some confidence. They'll have something to build on. If you get beat by 30-plus points, it kind of takes a little bit out of your competitive spirit, so to speak. And I think WKU will do that. I think this game, the odds makers in Las Vegas have Kentucky as a 19-point favorite. I think WKU will keep it closer than that. Up next, high school football going to be taking place this week here in Bowling Green. The WBGN game of the week will be Monroe County at Warren East. We'll be calling that game. You can listen on 1340 AM or go to 1340WBGN.com and you can catch a live video feed as we've teamed up with iHigh.com. So that should be a lot of fun. Hopefully be a competitive football game. The big game, though, involving a team here in Bowling Green will be Bowling Green High School as they head up to Louisville to take on St. Xavier, a perennial powerhouse representing the big schools here in the state of Kentucky. So far this year, the Purples have looked outstanding. They're 2-0. They've thoroughly dominated both their opponents to start the season. They opened up in the Rafferty's Bowl with a win over Allen County Scottsville, and then played in the iHigh Bowl at Lafayette High School in Lexington, defeating Henry Clay very convincingly as well. Little different monster with St. X. St. X coming off a tough loss. Certainly going to be hungry to get back on the winning track. This is going to be a great test for Bowling Green. They're the top-ranked team in Class 5A right now, and rightfully so. They look outstanding. They're very good in all aspects of the game. Not quite as strong as they've been in the past with special teams, with the kicking game, but knowing Coach Kevin Wallace, they're going to work very, very hard on that to try and improve, and they will. They'll get better come playoff time. I can't imagine that being something that holds them back for competing for a state championship. Going to be interesting, though, to see how they match up with St. Xavier. St. Xavier always big, always strong and fast and deep. So the Purples are certainly going to find out a lot about themselves this week in Louisville, and that's a good thing. Early on in the year, I'm sure the Bowling Green coaches will be able to take this video and make their team better, figure out some areas maybe they need to improve on. The other big game going on, and it'll be here in Bowling Green, will be Warren Central playing host to Fort Campbell. Fort Campbell, a very good team. They had a convincing win at Russellville last week. for a smaller high school, Fort Campbell can put it together. And they've got great athletes. They've won state championships. They're well coached. And much like Bowling Green, Warren Central has been very impressive in its first 2 wins of the year. And I wouldn't expect Warren Central to come out and not play a good game this week. I think that they want to play well. They know Fort Campbell is a very formidable opponent. So that should be a very good game, and a lot like St. Xavier will be for Bowling Green. I think Fort Campbell will provide a great test for Warren Central and allow their coaches an opportunity to get better by watching the film. Last story locally, I know it's not here in Bowling Green, but the Tennessee Titans are the team for South Central Kentucky. A lot of Titans fans around Bowling Green, and the big story heading into the season is the holdout of All-Pro running back Chris Johnson, which, if you're Mike Munchak, the new head coach for the Tennessee Titans, you'd certainly like to have your All-Pro player, All-Pro tailback in the huddle as you get ready for the season. Johnson's holding out because he wants to be paid like a quarterback does. He wants to be one of the highest paid players in the NFL. Unfortunately for Johnson, running backs have not traditionally been paid like quarterbacks, or in some cases wide receivers. I would probably agree with him on in the sense that running backs probably should be paid like Larry Fitzgerald just got paid by the Arizona Cardinals, but to demand quarterback money, the kind of money that you're going to see the Tom Brady's and Peyton Manning's bring in, it's a little bit unrealistic. Bud Adams, the owner of the Tennessee Titans, has said they will make Chris Johnson the highest paid running back in the NFL if he'll just sit down and negotiate. That would make him the highest paid running back of all time. I think that's a pretty fair offer from the Tennessee Titans, and if Chris Johnson's expecting to be paid like Manning and Brady, he's probably going to be sitting around and waiting for a long time. I just don't think that will ever happen. I think he needs to get with his agent, get at the negotiating table, and make this happen. Otherwise, the Tennessee Titans are in for a long season. He is that important to the offense. They did bring in Matt Hasselbeck from Seattle, and they are attempting to move forward with a new head coach, a new quarterback. They drafted Jake Locker, but for this offense to go, I think it needs to be centered around Chris Johnson. Javon Ringer and some of their young tailbacks are serviceable, but they're not game breakers like Chris Johnson. So NFL fans that support the Tennessee Titans here in Bowling Green and like to make that trip down to LP Field, could be a long year without Chris Johnson. And honestly, it could have been a long year with him because the Titans do have some holes across the board. But man, Chris Johnson leaves a pretty big void, and it's going to be pretty tough for them to win without him. I want to say a big thanks to Buy Local BG for allowing us to post this video. Hopefully you'll tune into the Sports Guys. We're on weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. right here on the Ticket, 1340 AM WBGN. You can listen to us online at 1340WBGN.com. I'm Norm Haney. Until next week, you've been listening to the podcast courtesy of Buy Local BG and 1340 The Ticket.